Okay, so moving on, let's talk about, okay, we're going to start on slide number 26, and let's talk about rests. Okay, so first of all, silence is an important aspect of music, right? In some music, there are complete silences from time to time. If you check out this YouTube link I have here on slide number 26, specifically pay attention to the part from about 4 minutes and 55 seconds to 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and you'll hear some very brief but complete silences, right? All the instruments stop playing for, I think it's just like one beat, so it's very brief, and the singing stops for one beat, right? So we have these kind of complete, well, we have these complete silences within some compositions. But more often, in a musical composition, perhaps one part will be silent while the other parts continue, meaning maybe one instrument or one group of instruments becomes silent while the other instruments continue. So notice on this next clip I have here, notice that it's a YouTube link to James Brown's "Get Up Off of That Thing," and notice on the left, if you're watching the video, on the left side of the stage, there's a horn section, and the horn section are often silent while the drums and the guitar and the bass and James Brown continue playing or singing. All right, so that's a good example of one part, meaning the horn section, being silent while the other parts continue on singing. All right, so that's a little bit about rest, so check those out, and then we'll move on to slide number 27. So, okay, a little bit more about rests. So, silences are indicated in notation, right, music notation, by these things called rests. All right, and there are different symbols for different kinds of rests. So let's look at the whole rest. As we can see on the graphic here on slide number 27, we see whole, half, quarter, eighth. Let's start off with whole. So we have whole rest. It kind of looks like an upside down hat. All right, that's one way you can remember it. And a whole rest, much like a whole note, receives 4 beats. Okay, so if I play a whole note, right, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 beats. A rest is going to be just a silence for 4 beats. So here's what I'll do. I'll play a whole note followed by a whole rest followed by another whole note. All right, so whole note and then a whole rest, then whole note. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's so I had my whole rest right in the middle there. So I still count during the rest, but so I'm still counting, but I'm not playing a pitch, right? So there's silence of pitch, but I'm still counting. Let's try a half rest now. So I'll do, so a half rest, like a half note, receives how many counts? 2 counts, all right? So I'll do how about a half note, followed by a half rest, followed by another half note. So here I go, here's my half note, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so that was half note, half rest, and then half note. All right. Now, let's look at quarter rests. So what's a quarter rest look like? It looks like kind of a squiggly line, right? And a quarter rest, like a quarter note, receives 1 beat. So if I were to play a quarter note followed by a quarter rest and then another quarter note, I'm going to have something like this. 1, 1. Okay, so like I have my note, rest, note. All right, or 1, 1, 1. Okay. All right, and then we have our eighth rests. So an eighth rest kind of looks like, you might say, the number 7, except that the top the top. So if we have our number 7, the top line is kind of curved with a little dot on the left hand side of it. So an eighth rest, just like an eighth note, receives a half a beat. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our next slide, number 28. Let's clap the following rhythms to get a good sense of this. So let's do number 1. So don't forget here I have repeat signs. So that means I have to do each one of these twice because they all have repeat signs. So for number 1, what do we have here? We have a quarter note on beat 1, a quarter note on beat 2, a quarter note on beat 3, and then a quarter rest on beat number 4. All right, let's do number 1, and don't forget our repeat signs. Here we go. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so on beat 4, I still count beat 4, but I don't play on beat number 4. Okay? Let's do number 2. So number 2, I'm looking at this. I have a quarter note on beat 1, then I have a quarter rest on beat 2, then I have eighth notes on beat 3, and then I have another quarter note on beat 4. Here I go. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right. Let's do number 3. So number 3, I have a quarter note on beat number 1, and then 2 eighth notes on beat number 2, and then a half note on beat 3. So with the half note, remember we're supposed to play our half note right on beat number 3 in this case, and sustain it through beat number 4. So here we go with number 3. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For number 3, how about I'll also play it using a pitch, since now we have this half note. So notice when I get to beat 3, I play the pitch right on beat 3 and I sustain it through beat number 4. Okay, here we go. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, let's do number 4. Clapping, and then I'll play this one now that since we have a half note. Okay, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if I'm using a pitch, I'm playing on beat 1 and I'm sustaining through beat number 2, and then I have a half rest on beat numbers 3 and 4. All right, so here we go. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, number 5, I'll move through these ones a little quicker without so many explanations, okay? Number 5, I guess one little explanation for this one. Notice quarter rest, beat 1. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, number 6, half note for beats 1 and 2, and then a quarter rest on beat 3, and then 2 eighth notes on beat 4. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. With a pitch for number 6, since we have a half note here, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Number 7, 2 eighth notes on beat 1, quarter note on beat 2, quarter rest on beat 3. So you're going to count 3, but you're not going to clap on beat 3 or play anything on beat 3, and then quarter note on beat 4. Okay, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, here we go with a pitch on this one. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, number 8. Here we go. Half rest, right on beat 1, and it sustains to beat 2, and then we have quarter notes on beat 3 and 4. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, let's move on. But again, you should practice them with me in the video and then practice them by yourself, okay, without me. See if you can become comfortable with those little exercises by yourself, all right? Okay, next, the tie. So the tie is just a curved line that connects two notes, all right? So remember, two notes. So as we can see on slide number 29, we have this little curved line that's connecting two notes. That's called a tie. All right, move on to slide number 30, a little bit more about the tie. So when two notes of the same pitch are tied together, they are to be considered a single note or a single sound, okay? Thus, two quarter notes tied together have the same duration of a half note, right? So, right, because a quarter note gets one beat, and if we tie it to another quarter note, we can think of it as kind of like one beat plus one beat equals 2 beats. All right, and then a half note, as we learned, it just receives 2 beats. So on the left-hand side of this graphic, if I play a pitch, I might count it like 1, 2, right? So the quarter note tied to another quarter note, I'll count it as 1, 2. And then if I just play as a half note, it sounds the exact same, right? So 1, 2, right, as the half note. You're probably wondering why do we need two different ways to indicate the same thing? And there's good reason for this, which we're going to talk about a little more in the next chapter, and also on the next, a little bit more, we'll just leave it at that, in the next chapter. That's having to do with bar lines and measures and things like that. So for now, just keep that, put that on hold, put that question on hold a little bit. But for now, move on to slide number 31. Talk a little bit more about the tie. So a quarter note tied, well, as we saw on the last slide, a quarter note tied to another quarter note gets 2 beats, right? We can think of it as 1 beat plus 1 beat, right? With ties, we're kind of adding beats. So a quarter note tied to an eighth note, which is going to be a little different. This is going to be a quarter, which gets 1 beat, right? Tied to a half note, which gets a half. We're looking at this graphic. It's actually a quarter note tied to an eighth note, And remember, eighth notes receive a half beat, okay? A half of a quarter, which is an eighth, right? This is where your mathematics, hopefully you're good at your fractions. So a quarter note plus an eighth note receives 1 and a half beats, right? Because 1 plus half equals 1 and a half. All right. So let's practice the next graphic at the bottom of slide number 31. Let's do this one slowly, all right? And let's do it with clapping. But let's just look at it for a second. So we notice, what do we have here? We have a quarter note right on beat number 1. And it's tied to an eighth note on beat number 2. And then we have an eighth note on the and that's right after 2 and before 3. Okay? And then what do we have? We have a quarter note right on beat 3, and it's tied to beat number 4, which is an eighth note, but then then we have another eighth note right after beat 4. So I'm gonna clap it real quick, and then I'm gonna talk a little more about it. So if you're not quite getting it yet, that's okay. But pay attention. So here we go. I'm gonna clap this little example. So we have ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so what am I doing there? I'm clapping right on beat number 1, and then I'm clapping on the and in between 2 and 3, and then I'm clapping on 3, and then I'm not clapping on 4, but I am clapping on the and right after 4, right? So try it with me again, with that in mind. Okay, so we'll go ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I did it there, and don't forget we have these repeats, so I'm doing it twice, right? I'm doing the same thing twice. Let's practice it. If you're still not getting it, let's try it again. Let's pretend the repeat signs aren't there. All right, so we'll just do no repeat signs. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so I'm clapping on beat 1, and then I'm not clapping on beat 2, right, because I have the tie. But I am clapping on the and right in between 2 and 3. And then I'm clapping on beat 3, and then I'm not clapping on beat 4, but I am clapping right after beat number 4, the and of 4. Okay, one more time, no repeats. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, one more time with repeats, and then we'll move on. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so practice that with me in this video, and then practice it by yourself. Okay, in fact, I'm going to play it one time with a pitch also. So ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when I play a pitch, you can really hear that I'm sustaining from beat 1 to beat 2, and then I'm playing right on the and of 2, and then on 3, and then I'm sustaining from 3 to 4, and then I am playing I'm playing the pitch again on the and of 4, just like how I was clapping. One last time. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, that was with repeats, by the way. All right.